Do you know who the top 10 most powerful air forces in the world are? Who exactly is the air supremacy? First in 10th place is the Israeli Air Force, with a total strength of 35,000 and equipped with more than 700 military aircraft. These include 42 F-15 heavy fighters, more than 170 F-16 series fighters and more than 30 F-35 5th-generation stealth fighters and so on. Although the Israeli Air Force is not large, but the strength is very strong, can be said to fight all over the Middle East, the reason is that the Israeli Air Force is in the war to grow up, and never rely solely on the purchase of the horde of advanced Air Force equipment and strong. In the Third Middle East War in 1967, Israel defeated the Arab countries by a landslide through lightning airstrikes. In this war, Israel destroyed as many as 500 Arab warplanes in just 3 hours. Ranked 9th is the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, with a total strength of 45,500 men, equipped with 750 military aircraft of various types organized into 7 aviation wings. Among them, the F-15 Eagle is the main fighter, but also equipped with 140 F-35 stealth fighters. This is the largest number of F-35 stealth fighters besides the U.S. military. And like the famous Apache, Black Hawk, Chinook, Fish Hawk and other advanced helicopters, he has all, if not the peace constitution does not allow the possession of strategic bombers, maybe even B-2 strategic bombers will buy a few. It can be said that Japan's air self-defense force is not large, but well-equipped weapons. Its air interdiction capability is second only to the United States and Israel. Ranked 8th is the British Air Force, with a total strength of 52,000 and a total of more than 800 fighters of all types. These include 102 Typhoon fighters, 150 Rafale fighter bombers, and 24 F-35 stealth fighters, plus a variety of transport planes, refueling planes, and so on, and its Air Force strength also belongs to the world's first class. However, as the world's largest and oldest air force, it produced almost all types of aircraft during World War II. In addition to the Spitfire, Hurricane, and other air superiority fighters, as well as Wellington, Sterling, and Lancaster bombers repeatedly hit the Luftwaffe. Today's British Air Force is not the same as it was then. Not only the scale of the drastic reduction in research and development is also in ruins. The Typhoon is a joint European development, and the F-35, the next-generation main fighter, is an American product. Ranked 7th is the South Korean Air Force. As we all know, South Korea as the United States in Eastern Asia, one of the important allies, but also the United States to support the main brother. It can be said that under the extreme help of the American Big Brother, the South Korean Air Force has grown into a modern air force that cannot be underestimated. It is equipped with all types of combat aircraft except large bombers, including 40 F-35 stealth fighters, 59 F-15K heavy fighters and 162 F-16C divided by D light fighters. In addition to fighters, the aviation army also has refueling planes, early warning planes, electronic reconnaissance planes, a very complete variety. But the only shortcoming is the lack of a real bomber, the lack of strategic deterrent. The whole body is completely stuck in a cave with a diameter of only 40 centimeters, and there is no way to move for several hours. This kind of pain you want to experience. In order to rescue his friend David, Paris broke into the world's most dangerous underground cave. In this narrow confined space, extremely test the psychological quality of the traverser. Time-consuming 30 minutes to move 5 meters has been considered faster. The cave is more than 2,000 meters long. The depth and complexity is impossible to estimate. So far no one has been able to live through this terrible underground cave. If there is no rescue teammates, they go in only one way to die, and the sweltering heat and thin oxygen may be trapped at any time to a fatal blow. But Paris did not think so much. Just hands on both sides of the body began to move deeper and deeper. He knew he was David's last hope, even if his face and hands have been injured, but also fearless. In the claustrophobic underground space, the cell phone equipment has long lost signal, can only rely on mapping to confirm the route. As Paris continued to move forward, the entire space has been very narrow. Just looking at it is suffocating. They can only take out the drill prepared in advance to keep chiseling the rock, for more space. And through this kind of underground cave is almost no retreat, can be said. Can only keep moving forward, even if the body is covered with blood everywhere, must bite the teeth and try to crawl. Although Paris is a veteran of traversing caves, but this time his heart is still a bit panicked, because he does not know whether David is dead or alive. If he was dead, it would be the end of the world. Once the intersection was blocked, they might not even be able to get out of the cave, so there was an element of luck in this rescue, but at the moment, he couldn't care less. After about 4 hours of forward travel, they finally came to a wide area. At this time the surveyor was updating the map, while the others were praying to get out alive. Half an hour later they continued on their way, but luckily just a short distance away Paris finally found David. He was stuck straight up in the rock face and couldn't move, but luckily there happened to be a wide space where he could back out and turn around to climb back up. Paris tugged on David's feet and kept dragging him backward while the others tugged on Paris. Finally David was saved, but he wasn't doing too well, with a broken leg and shortness of breath, and now had to get out and get medical attention right away. After a 10-minute respite, they began to turn around and head back the way they came. All of them began to crawl back as hard as they could in order to live to see the sun outside. Just the thought of Paris constricting his chest inward and then constantly glaring at the rock wall with his back legs, and just making his way outward, was excruciatingly painful just to think about. After 5 hours of effort, they finally saw the light outside and struggled to get some fresh air, and David vowed never to venture out again. It's important to realize that caving is one of the most dangerous sports in the world, but many people still go and try it every year, and as a result there are countless deaths. When you're stuck inside a cave, unable to move and with no teammates to rescue you, the claustrophobic surroundings can break your spirit right out of you. You can even hear every beat of your heart, and every beat of your heart tugs at your emotions. In this kind of complicated and dark space, even if you die, no one will know, because the probability of being successfully rescued from this kind of underground cave is very small, which means that once you are stuck inside, you can only wait for your own death. Do you know how arrogant and stubborn Japan was at the end of World War II? This video truly recreates the full details of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the US military back then. At 1:37 a.m. on August 6, 1945, 3 U.S. Army weather planes departed from Tennyson Island in preparation for a reconnaissance trip to the Japanese mainland. Eventually, due to weather and distance, the military abandoned Niigata, which was located to the northeast, and instead targeted the cities of Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and Kokura. At 2:45 a.m. on August 6, 1945, 3 B-29 Superfortress bombers of the U.S. Army's 509th Combined Brigade took off from Tennyson Island Air Force Base in preparation for a flight to the mainland of Japan. The entire flight formation was commanded by Colonel Paul Betties, who flew the Enola Gay bomber, which was loaded with the famous Little Boy atomic bomb. By 5:05 a.m., the 3 bombers on the mission had flown over Iwo Jima. The entire flight formation consisted of, in addition to the Enola Gay, which contained the atomic bomb, the Great Artist, which was responsible for measuring the data of the explosion, and the Evil Bomber, which was responsible for taking pictures of the explosion. After making short adjustments over Iwo Jima, they began to continue their flight to the Japanese mainland. At 7:09 a.m., the 3 weather planes that departed first arrived over the target city almost simultaneously. The weather plane over Hiroshima was the first to send a telegram to the bomber group behind it, saying that the clouds over Hiroshima were very thin and the weather was perfect for dropping bombs, so the crews immediately set their bombing targets for Hiroshima. At that moment, however, the Japanese suddenly spotted the weather planes in the air and immediately sounded the air raid siren. However, the citizens of Hiroshima did not react and did not even bother to go to the air raid shelters. At 7:31 a.m., the weather planes left Hiroshima City and the air raid sirens were soon lifted. 8:09 a.m. The bombers behind were coming in fast and furious, and they were still 10 minutes away from reaching the skies over Hiroshima. Colonel Betties immediately ordered all planes to climb to an altitude of 31,060 feet and to make final bombing preparations. At 8:10 a.m., Japanese radar caught the intrusion of the B-29 bombers over the city of Hiroshima, and a few minutes later, the Hiroshima City Military Control District Command intended to issue an air raid warning. By this time, however, the Enola Gay had already flown over Hiroshima City at an altitude of 9,632 meters, an altitude, however, that was beyond the reach of Japanese interceptors and anti-aircraft guns. At 8:12 a.m. the T-bridge over the Oda River in central Hiroshima came into view of the pilots, and the crew then made final preparations and set the aircraft for automatic maneuvering. At 8:15 a.m., the timing device came into play, the bomb was dropped automatically, and the 4.3-ton boy began to fall from great heights. Immediately after the drop, Colonel Betties flew the plane around a 155-degree angle for the return flight. Hiroshima at this time was still bustling as usual, and many citizens who were accustomed to the air raids did not enter the air raid shelters, but looked up at the bombers in the sky, unaware that the countdown to their lives had already begun. Do you know how fast the world's fastest train really is? It was the world's first steam locomotive and its fastest speed was 8 kilometers per hour. This is the world's first locomotive to carry passengers on a public railroad, with a speed of 24 kilometers per hour. This is the Indian Fairy Queen locomotive, the fastest speed is 40 kilometers per hour. This is the British Stephenson's rocket, the fastest speed is 48 kilometers per hour. This is the cartoon world's Thomas the Tank, the fastest speed is 64 kilometers per hour. This is the French SNCF Class 141R steam locomotive with a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. Next to it is the Romanian 060DA diesel locomotive, also at 100 km per hour. This is the Bulgarian EMD GP7 internal combustion locomotive, speed is 105 km per hour. This is the German DRG Class 01 steam locomotive, speed is 125 km per hour. This is the Indian Express train with a speed of 130 km per hour. This is the PRR Class GG1 electric locomotive from the United States, with a speed of 160 km per hour. This is the British Mallard steam locomotive, the speed is 203 km per hour. This is a German SCHANENZ PPLN train traveling at 230 km per hour. This is the British Intercity 125, traveling at 238 km per hour. This is followed by the American Acela train at 240 km per hour. This is the French TGV high-speed train with a speed of 320 km per hour. This is the Shinkansen E5 high-speed train from Japan, which also travels at 320 km per hour. This is the ICE3 high-speed train from Germany, with a speed of 330 km per hour. This is the Eurostar high-speed train from Germany, with a speed of 334 km per hour. This is the Valero Rus high-speed train from Russia, with a speed of 350 km per hour. This is the Renf Class 103 high-speed train from Spain, with a speed of 350 km per hour. This is AGV high-speed train, the speed is 360 km per hour. This is the French SNCF TGV SUDST high-speed train, with a speed of 380 km per hour. Next to it is China's CRH-380B high-speed train, also with a speed of 380 km per hour. Now coming out is the Italian Frecciarossa 1000, with a speed of 390 km per hour. This is China's Fuxing high-speed train, with a speed of 420 km per hour. This is the Shanghai Maglev high-speed train, with a speed of 501 km per hour. This is the French SNCF TGV POS high-speed train, the speed is 574 km per hour. This is Japan's LO series Maglev high-speed train, speed is 603 km per hour. However, not long ago, China's CRH-380AM-0204 high-speed comprehensive test train broke the record of all high-speed trains, with a speed of 605 km per hour, which can be said to be far ahead of the world in the field of high-speed trains.